welcome to another Friday edition of Life Experiences with William Pelarenos. And today, as you can see, flowers and candy all over the place because it's our Sweetest Day episode. And Sweetest Day is to me, like a Hallmark holiday that happens, it bookends the romantic part of the year. Valentine's Day in February, Sweetest Day in October. And we have a returning guest who was here with us on Valentine's Day. Most appropriately, a divorce attorney, Deborah Cohen. Debbie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Bill.
Okay.
It's fantastic to be back.
So, you know what? Many people are, sending candy and flowers that we got here, and they're having a real romantic weekend. But the reality is that, and we'll talk about marriages because marriage is a legal contract, which we talked about before.
Yes.
So marriage is a legal contract, and went with about 50% of the marriages ending up in divorce court. This is something we discussed on Valentine's Day, and it's something that's prevalent today because I was sitting with a friend of mine. He's a suburban policeman. There's 7 men in his shift. He's on the midnight shift, and 4 of them are going through divorces. So that's a little above the national average. Back on Valentine's Day, we discussed that Forbes magazine had an article that said the divorce rate was at 46%, which is pretty close to the national average that we've always talked about at 50, correct?
Correct.
And there's a lot of things that happened from Valentine's Day episode to today, which we'll get to. But in the meantime, our phone lines, Matthew?
847-931-1410.
They can text messages.
505-926-1410.
And our wonderful YouTube page.
YouTube.com at WRMN Radio.
All right. Before we get started, Debbie, thank you for coming back. She had trial this week. Woo-hoo. It was iffy if she could make it today, but she did it. She came all the way from, what was your trial at? What?
It was at 555 West Harrison in Chicago.
And 555 West Harrison, for those that you don't know, that's for the city of Chicago, that's domestic violence cases. But they don't have to be violent. It could be orders of protection, which you had.
Yes.
Yes. So we'll discuss that in a minute. And give us quickly, for those that didn't see the Valentine's Day episode, your background.
Sure. I originally started off, I went to law school and I became a prosecutor for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. I practiced criminal prosecution for close to 5 years. At that time, I left and went out and began practicing criminal defense. For the next 15 years after that, I had a conglomerate of criminal defense. I also served as a Cook County Assistant Special Prosecutor, where I prosecuted cases against former Commander Burge in Chicago, where it's been alleged, and proven about the abuse that was incurred under his administration. And then I also worked for the Inspector General as an investigator. I currently own and operate Cohen Law, which is a family law firm in Northbrook, Illinois. We handle all sorts of matters, everything from divorce, separation, custody, child support, anything related to family. And if our firm doesn't specifically handle it, I have a tremendous amount of networks that colleagues that will handle every single area in the family law area.
Now, how long have you been in private practice with family law?
I have been practicing family law since the year 2020. During COVID, I began practicing family law.
But you've been a lawyer for 2 decades, correct?
25 years.
25 years. A very well-experienced, well-seasoned attorney. You're familiar with courtroom procedures and documents. And I want to get to something called motions. Our listeners may not know. But a motion is something you put in writing to have a formal hearing arguing a certain issue in a case, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And this week, you were at trial. You had a motion for an order of protection. Let us know what an order of protection is.
Okay. And I had actually a motion to dismiss an order of protection, but the order of protection is when one party is alleging that another party either harassed, stalked, intimidated, there's caused some sort of harassment to the party, and you also have to show that you have a relationship with that person. And there's certain elements that the statute of Illinois you have to follow, that you had either a romantic relationship, you had a roommate relationship, you're a sibling or a family member. There's all sorts of things. And the orders of protection are intended to protect people when they are in fear of any sort of harassment or stalking and things such to that effect.
So the order of protection, and here's something, folks, we discussed in our last episode. There's a criminal order of protection and a civil order of protection. The difference being?
A criminal order of protection is something that tags along with a criminal case. So if somebody has a case such as a domestic battery, in cases like that, typically a criminal order of protection can be effectuated throughout that matter and during a crime that has occurred. A civil order of protection, there does not have to be an underlying criminal case, and you could go and apply for them through the courthouses in the different districts.
Okay, so the civil order of protection does not require a criminal complaint. You can just hire an attorney like yourself. A private attorney would file it.
Correct.
And you have, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So I had during the summer a young lady, her ex-boyfriend showed up at her work, and she got really upset by it. So her new boyfriend texted me, and I referred to come over to your office. I said, hey, try getting a civil order of protection. Even though he didn't commit any crimes, he didn't attack her, he didn't threaten her, it was very disturbing for an ex-boyfriend to come to your workplace. So she was upset about this. On a case like this, you could have filed a civil order of protection. Could you have not?
If the facts were that he simply went one time to her employment?
You know what? I think he appeared twice.
Okay. I mean, you would have to show, in order, there are certain elements you have to show to the court and to the judge for them to grant an order of protection. The burden is very low. It's by what we call preponderance of the evidence. But by an ex-boyfriend frequently going to the employment of an ex, that could trigger granting of an order of protection.
That could be almost on the parameters of stalking or following.
Correct.
You can make an issue of it.
Correct.
And here's a lawyer has to figure out, like just like she's trying to do now. She has a scenario. She has to figure out how can we manufacture this into an argument. Correct?
Correct.
Yes. Sometimes it's written and sometimes it's argued. Now, your trial this week or your hearing, you filed a written motion to dismiss, correct?
That is correct.
And the judge granted it based on your written motion.
Correct. And it was actually my second one that I had drafted and submitted and argued to the judge. Well, brought to the judge. The first one was on somewhat of the same factors. The judge permitted the other side, which is the petitioner, the person asking for the order of protection, to amend their complaint. And they amended it, and I filed a second motion to dismiss based on their amended complaint, and it was granted.
Yes. So a motion, and the burden was on you. The burden is on the defense attorney. So it's not like a criminal case where the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a burden of proof on you.
Correct. And it was my burden to show that the other side had not alleged the sufficient facts.
And if the judge didn't grant it based on the written motion, you could have argued it in front of the judge, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So just so the average person may not know the difference between a trial and a motion hearing, and we wanted to get that explained. So going on to when you talked about your background, we had a question that came in as we were coming to showtime. I got a text question, and it's a two-part question. Does social media make divorce cases more complicated legally?
Absolutely. Social media has been a constant issue in family law cases, especially where one party may be alleging that they are strapped for money, that they are not going out and drinking. And when people post to their social media, that's open for the entire world to see. And we as attorneys can bring in the photos or the comments or anything that is posted to social media to use it to discredit the other party's version of what is occurring in the case. And it could completely discredit somebody's petition or motion or a request from the court, and could change things even with parenting time if there are photos that are being shown of a party intoxicated or using drugs or something like that. It's very, very relevant. And I advise all of my clients while they are going through the divorce process to not post on social media.
That's a great piece of advice, because people post, ridiculous. Matt, you've seen it, some stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. They're even posting, not related to divorce or family law, they're even posting videos of themselves standing on top of moving subway trains in New York. Have you seen this?
I've seen those, yeah.
Subway surfing. Mm-hmm. People do stupid stuff on social media, and if you're going through a legal procedure, you do not want anything that'll come out in court to embarrass yourself, and she gives the best legal advice here. So another thing about social media, and we're going to get back to the motion the order protection. I remember a case where a man had an order of protection against him, so he couldn't contact his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, whatever it was. But he posted something on Facebook to her, and that was a violation. You've seen cases like this?
Absolutely. And so so many, and typically all of the orders of protection, there is no communications through third parties, no communications through social media, and a posting can trigger a violation of an order of protection. And
I know one guy that just texted his ex, and she went to the police department, complained, and they arrested him.
That is right. And a lot of people also, the interesting thing on the orders of protection, the person who has the order of protection against him or her, if the other party starts corresponding with them via phone, via email, via text, that person who doesn't have the order of protection, who's the petitioner, can communicate to that person without getting in trouble. However, if the party where the order of protection is issued against responds, and they're doing it as a response, that could be triggered as a violation, even though the person initiated the correspondence.
Orders of protection, really, their basis is based in a very good idea. It's to protect any sort of violence or physical threats from occurring. But you have extremes here. You've got people that file order protections that really should not be filing order protection. You've seen cases like this.
The case I had this week was proven to be that. I look at orders of protection as parties. Again, I think when they're meant to be for the proper purpose, they could be a very good tool. However, so many people take advantage of that and use it as a weapon to weaponize their ex or their sibling, and for non-sufficient, and I guess I'm going to be blunt, BS reasons. And it really affects somebody because it affects how they travel. They're taken off of the travel, when they go to the airport, and they're removed from the traveler's list. Their FOID card, if they have a gun, is withdrawn and suspended for that time. It has a lot of effects, but yes, there are so many people that use them improperly.
Let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about divorce.
Yeah.
Okay, so somewhere between 46% and 50% is the national average for divorces. When a marriage goes south like that, obviously, and they come to you, first of all, your initial consultation is free, right?
Yes. Right now we have a 15-minute complimentary consultation.
In person?
It could be in person, Zoom, phone, whatever makes the person most comfortable. If they would like a longer consultation, there is a fee, but that fee will be credited if the person does retain me.
So let's say they retain you for a divorce case, and let's say it's the male, the husband. The husband is getting divorced. When you first represent him, what's the first steps you take besides telling him don't post anything on social media?
We talk about a lot of what I talk about is that he has to be very honest and open with me because if his wife is going to be making allegations that I'm not aware of, that could put us in a situation where we don't want to be. I just always ask for cooperation, open communication. I advise the clients not to post on social media. If there's anything with the children, to be, there's ways, each case is different, but I try to advise people to be on their best behavior because the second a divorce is filed, everybody is under, the guise of that it could land whatever their actions are before a judge.
Now, when you're going to court on a divorce, it's actually a civil matter, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's a civil matter. Two people just want to terminate the relationship, or one party wants to terminate the relationship. Do they have to give reasons why they're terminating the marriage?
No, in Illinois, all you have to say is that you have irreconcilable differences. You do not have to have any reason for that.
I think that's a term that was coined in California.
And I think there was a movie too.
Yes, Ryan O'Neal.
Yeah.
So, but that irreconcilable differences is a term at least 30 years old for divorces. And that's an acceptable reason for the court to move forward with granting a divorce, correct?
Correct.
But there's also other reasons. Of course, domestic violence, harassment, maybe emotional turmoil.
No. So in Illinois, you do not need to have any reason whatsoever. We never allege any reason. So if a couple or one party is alleging that the other spouse went outside the marriage and had affairs or has a drug issue, we do not bring that up in the petition for dissolution of marriage. We literally always say irreconcilable differences. And it doesn't make a difference if the person was unfaithful or not in Illinois.
You know what? I'm glad you bring a good point. And I kind of vaguely remember reading articles about this, and I know people. Many marriages have survived extramarital affairs. But one of the key points that I've known people to get divorced is really financial matters. You've heard this?
Yes. I mean, there are a ton of people that have come to me and just had consultations and do not proceed with separating or divorcing their spouse. Finances and what I find in my practice tend to be the biggest thing are finances and alcohol. Those are the two biggies.
Did you say alcohol?
Alcohol.
Oh, I've done many episodes on the evils of alcohol consumption. So, yes, a few years ago, I knew this lady. She filed for divorce because when she went into her bank account, and that was before online banking, so we're talking some time back, she was going to pull out some money. $30,000 was missing from her bank account. It turns out that, make a long story short, her husband developed a cocaine habit. Yep. And he was spending money on cocaine and taking out of their savings. Well, she hadn't checked on her savings because she needed nothing, no large purchases. And when she found this out, she finally confronted him. But that cocaine addiction is what, and the improper use of their funds led to a divorce.
Yeah, that and that happens. Again, I have a case that I'm dealing with right now where it was just divulged to me that the spouse on the other side, the same thing, has a cocaine issue. And that also brings to another point that I'll keep really short. If a spouse does have an issue with alcohol, cocaine, drugs, gambling, any of that, and the other spouse discovers this and is going to proceed through the divorce, there's something called dissipation, which means that the spouse who had the issues, and I won't say issues, but had the addiction, could be on the line to basically credit the other spouse back 50% of the money that was used on their habit.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's something I did not know.
Yes.
A wealth of information here. Folks, if you got questions,
We do have a question through the text line.
what is it?
This person writes, quote, if I own a house and then I get married, if we divorce, will I have to sell my house and split the money?
Okay, so if you own a house prior to the marriage, it's what's considered premarital. If what I would suggest to this person is to get a prenuptial agreement prior to moving in with the spouse. Once the spouse moves in, it doesn't transform the house from being premarital to marital property. However, if the spouse begins making mortgage payments or electricity bills or improvements to the house, it makes arguments much harder that person, if they ever get divorced, should not receive any money from the property during the divorce. So I always say, look into a prenup. If you're married, get a postnup.
All right. Before we go to commercial break, let's put up our website up there, CohenFamilyLawyer.com. Go on with the website. And the office address is 1363 Shermer Road in Northbrook, suite number 228. Don't go too fast, Matthew.
I'm trying to get it up on the screen.
There you go. See the map. But you don't have to go in the office. You can have a phone consultation, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And the number posted is 312-835-2996. The second half of our program, we are going to talk about prenuptial agreements because I've got a lot of questions on that since our last episode. Stay with us. Debbie Cohen, family law attorney, is with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes right after the news break. Don't go away.
Affordable too, at $15 for a 2-hour class. Visit our website at victoriaelizabethart.com to find out more. That's victoriaelizabethart.com.
Welcome back to the second half of our Sweetest Day show with flowers and candy here. We're talking about the flip side of romance today with family law attorney, Deborah Cohen. Deborah, I got to say, you had a busy week this week. Thank you for joining us. You made time in your schedule so you could get messages out to people. And during the break, I learned something that I did not know because obviously I haven't gone through a child custody case or a divorce case. And for those of you that are happily married out there, this is just some nice to know information. We're not telling nobody to get a divorce. But for the 50% out there whose marriage is going into divorce court, these are some key points that you should think about. And she made some good key points. First of all, if you're heading into litigation, don't post anything crazy on social media. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Stay away from all that. It can be brought up in the court like we said in the first half. Correct, Debbie?
Correct.
All right. So real quickly, we're going to touch a lot of things because I want to get on child custody cases because that is a major part of divorce cases for people that have children under the age of 18 in Illinois and in other states. So we're talking about Illinois state law here. We're not talking about what's going on in Indiana. Laws differ from state to state, correct?
Correct.
So there's people that are listening to us. I know my aunt's listening to me in Indiana. I'm still married, aunt. So thank you, Debbie. Our phone lines are open real quickly.
Yes, 847-931-1410.
And we're getting text messages through what phone number?
505-926-1410.
Our YouTube page is?
YouTube.com at WRMN Radio.
There you go. We're all over social media today. Debbie, real quickly, I want to touch on, because I had a question about this. A lot of people, especially those that have been through a divorce and know how financially devastating it can be, if they're getting married a second time, of course you can file one when you're getting married first time, but a prenuptial agreement, just quickly explain what that is.
Absolutely. So a prenuptial agreement is a contract that you enter into before getting married to somebody. Basically, it is a document where you and your soon-to-be spouse are going to be addressing certain things such as your pensions, your IRAs, your retirement, the home, if it's premarital, you discuss premarital assets, meaning and premarital property, if you own properties other places. And basically, this agreement sets forth a contract for you and your soon-to-be spouse to how the property will be divided if you guys do result in a divorce. And that is what a prenuptial agreement is.
And on our Valentine's episode, I found out something that I did not know. There's something called postnuptial agreements.
Yeah, and a postnuptial agreement is very similar to a prenuptial agreement. It's just that you're already married. And this is an agreement where you and your spouse could form a contract stating that certain property, certain anticipated income from a new business, all could be separated, and you form a contract just in case if the marriage results in a divorce, the property, even though it was after your marriage, accumulated after your marriage, can be considered your sole property. It protects you in that way.
Very good. Thanks for explaining that. We've already discussed that. If you go back on YouTube, our Valentine's episode has been saved. It's still running up there, right, Matthew?
It sure is, yes.
And what's our YouTube page again?
YouTube.com/WRMN Radio.
There you go. You could check past episodes. And Debbie, I'm glad you're here with us today.
Me too.
Now, real quickly, you had a trial this week, and thank you for being with us. But what I want to touch on is child custody cases. You've litigated a lot of these cases in the past few years, correct?
Correct.
You want to give us some highlights or tips and clues there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think child custody cases, I personally thoroughly enjoy litigating child custody cases, especially. I represent both parties, not at the same time. I sometimes represent the petitioner, sometimes the respondent. But my biggest thing is I love representing the underdog parent and the parent that is having trouble with the other parent in regards to obtaining parenting time or decision making. And that you really need a seasoned attorney that knows the ins and outs of the rules of law and how to navigate the client as to what the client should or shouldn't be doing in matters of a custody litigation case. Custody litigation cases, though, are extremely emotional, extremely costly, and timely typically.
You know, as we were talking during the break, child custody cases are so intense, they're even featured on daytime television. And for those of you that follow General Hospital, as I do, and there was a child custody case in that, and in that episode, the mother lost control to the father in the episode. Now, don't take television as gospel, but what was interesting, and I understand this has happened quite a few times, the person that lost had a nervous breakdown in court. Have you heard of things like this happening?
Absolutely. I have had a case similar, well, not similar in that fashion, but I did have that the other party broke down a few weeks ago in one of my cases.
When he or she lost custody of the children?
Correct.
In court? Right
in court. And yes.
It got ugly.
It got very, very ugly, very dramatic, and the judge, yes.
Yeah, so these things, emotions run high, not only divorce case, but child custody. Something I just learned, let's talk about relocation hearings in reference to relocation of the child. Let's talk about that.
So relocation in Illinois, it means that if you move 25 miles outside of where the primary residence of the child is. So if the mom has primary custody of the child and she lives in Chicago, anywhere 25 miles outside of the scope of the distance from her home would be considered relocation. And if you are going to relocate and you're either going through a divorce or you are divorced, you have to do it via agreement by both parties or by order of court.
I did not know about the 25 5-mile parameter. I always thought when they talked about relocation, it's like the person moves from Illinois to Wisconsin. But 25 miles, and that is quite of a distance too, you know?
Yeah. And 20, you know, and I think a lot of people also, you know, they tend to always think it means, you know, if one couple's leaving to go to another state, the thing that people really need to know, it could be within Illinois that's more than 25 miles that's considered a relocation case. I've handled a bunch of relocation cases that have been to different states. I've dealt with a few, particularly with Florida, and very interesting cases.
How do you deal with an out-of-state case?
In those cases, well, the one that I'm talking about, we had 5 attorneys on that. 2 attorneys in Florida, 2 attorneys here in Illinois, and a guardian ad litem, which is an attorney for the child.
See, that's important. I'm glad you bring that up, because sometimes it's not just getting a lawyer. You need a team. You need a team to fight for you. And just like I equate legal problems on the same avenue that I talk about medical problems. You just can't count on one doctor. One doctor leads you to another doctor. If you have cancer, you got to go to a cancer doctor. If you're going to have surgery, you go to another doctor. You're working on a medical or legal team to get the best possible outcome for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where, you know, everybody has their niche. And I always say, and I compare it all the time, lawyers are like doctors. You're not going to go to a heart doctor for an ear infection. And so each attorney, not that they specialize in certain things, but they may focus more on certain aspects of different areas of the law in their practice or under them. And they may have an associate, such as I do in my firm, that focuses on other matters that she's more not interested in, that her talents are stronger in. I believe everybody has different talents.
In every job. You know what? I was a policeman. I had a lot of cases, but I became a DUI enforcement specialist because I not only made DUI arrests, but I taught DUI enforcement classes. So you become experienced in one field. Doesn't mean you can't understand other avenues, but you become more experienced. The more you do anything, the more a locksmith changes locks, the better he gets at opening doors.
Absolutely.
I just thought of that. Matthew, you didn't find that funny?
Oh, no, sorry. I was typing something real quick. I missed
You're
it.
typing while we're working here.
Bill made it funny.
Do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions? Oh, my goodness. I am just learning a lot of things. And that's good.
Here's a good question. You're not married. You're living together. Is there, after a certain period of time, is there some sort of an entitlement if these two split?
Okay, in Illinois, no. There's no such thing as common law marriage in Illinois. So you could live together. You could even even if you had a child together and you live together but were not married, the property, it would not be considered marital. And
It's whose name it is in under, correct?
correct.
Okay. So that's interesting because that came up the other night. You know, people saw your episode on Valentine's Day and they were at the restaurant. I told her I'm having her back, as you saw in the text. I'm having her back. Oh, ask her about this. If I live with someone for 10 years, for some reason that 10-year mark was coming up. Now, maybe another state, maybe California's got a 10-year.
There's common law. I'm not too familiar with common law marriage, but I believe in other states, the common law marriage could establish either after 7 or 10 years of people living together.
That's why it's in the back of people's
Yeah.
heads. But we're just clarifying here, and all we're talking about is Illinois state law.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting, too, on these child custody cases, I had an appeals attorney here, and his client, the father, had lost his child custody case. And the appeals attorney appealed it. You've heard of situations like this?
Yes, I have.
And luckily, he was able to overturn it for his client. You know, your children are your most precious commodity. You don't want to lose them unless, of course, there's some kind of physical abuse. But, you know, just because a case is lost doesn't mean it can't be appealed, correct?
Correct. And cases typically could always be appealed. You know, there's a certain time frame that's required depending on it. A lot, and but cases, if they are found, like meaning a judge rules on it, they could be appealed.
That's great, because you got to fight for your children.
Absolutely.
With another thing on child custody, let's talk about child support. It's based on your income, correct?
Correct. So child support in Illinois, again, I always try to reference in Illinois, is referenced on your income, your spouse's or the other party's income, and how many overnights the child or children are with each party. And there's like a magic number in the child support calculation that typically if the parent is not, one parent is not exercising about 40% of the parenting time, that parent will owe child support to the other parent. And in Illinois, both parents are responsible to pay child support. I hope I'm not confusing this.
But it's been my experience that a lot of the men that they get divorced have to pay child support to their spouse. Usually it's the woman that is keeping the child or maintaining the child. So it's based on a portion of their salary. If the salary decreases or increases, then that child support payment gets changed. It has to go back into court, right?
Correct. And the party who had the change in the income would have to file a motion, like we were talking about earlier, to bring that to the court's attention and ask to recalculate child support at the different number.
Correct. I've known people that have, their lives have fallen apart. Divorce is a very devastating, just like you said, a really emotional matter. And people going through divorce, I've seen policemen go through divorce, and it's so traumatic. It just doesn't go away when you come to work. I mean, these people really despondent. And I felt sorry for a lot of them, except for one guy. He got married 5 times. I told him, Art, you're a glutton for punishment. 5 times? You didn't learn the first 4?
Totally.
I have no sympathy for you if you get divorced on your 5th time. So anyways, but I wanted to touch base with that. And on this Sweetest Day, relationships that are not bound by marriage, but have, and you touched on this, but have a child out of wedlock, and the relationship separates, there's still there's still a mandatory child support in there, correct?
Well, yes. I mean, so if you have a child with somebody, a couple has a child with somebody, and they're not married, if under the law, under Illinois law, both parties, again, are required to pay child support. The parties are required, though, to file something with the court to obtain the child support. So if, let's just say, a mom breaks up with the partner and she is seeking child support and they've been together for 5 years and nothing's been filed in the court before because everything has just been amicably working between them, she would now have to go file a petition for child support with the court.
There's such bizarre cases out there, and I'm sure if you think about it for a minute, you got a good one, but this is the best one. I had a sergeant. He was married a long time. He got divorced, okay? The person that he started living with after his divorce, his relationship went south. What does he do? He gets back with his first wife. What happens now? They're already divorced. Where do they go from here? Have you heard of stuff like this?
I have, where people have reunited and remarried, and sometimes it just needs a break.
Why bother remarried? You're already divorced.
I have my different views on things, but yeah. Some people just love to be married, though.
But it's just a shocker how these things turned out. One of the most famous couples to get divorced and remarried was Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor.
I remember.
And that second marriage didn't last. My whole contention to that was I would have told both of them, if it didn't work the first time, it's not going to work the second time. But you're right. A lot of people just want to be married. Art, 5 times? Come on. Yeah. 5 marriages? Come on. Where are we going with this?
He loves being married.
I don't know what to tell you, folks. But we create our own problems if we don't move forward slowly and always look down the road. That's why I always tell people, do what you want, but if you're going to get married, I highly suggest looking into a prenuptial agreement. This way, everything's protected. If you never get divorced, you don't have to worry about it. It's just a document laying around. But if you do get divorced, it can protect your assets, especially pensions. I saw a lot of policemen. A couple of them I know for a fact that when the divorce was done, they lost half of their pension for every year they were married. So if they were married for 10 years, they lost half of that pension over that 10-year period. And that's a lot of money to give up. And here's another thing. Another man I knew was recently a policeman, retired after some 40 years. He was divorced. Everything was amicable. He was remarried. He had no problems with his ex. She had moved out of the state. They never contacted each other again. The divorce was fine. He hadn't talked to her in 25 years. Now he's going to retire. The pension board tells him, you have to find your ex-wife. Here we go. I saw that smile. You have to find your ex-wife, and she has to sign off on these documents, or else we're not going to pay you. That's a snafu that people don't understand, that even though they've been divorced and not talking, in order to retire, their ex has to sign off. You've heard of this, right?
Yes, I have. And there's a bunch of stuff after the divorce that parties have to do to ensure that they obtain or retain their either pensions or retirement accounts.
Because 20 years ago when he got divorced, he never thought of down the road the pension, the retirement. You just don't think of those things. You're just trying to terminate the marriage.
Exactly.
And you know what? From what I heard, it took him 6 months to find her. She signed off on it, but it took him 6 months to find her.
Did they get back together?
There's some, you know what? We got to get you back here. I'm sure you got some bizarre stories to tell us, but we're running down to our last 3 minutes. And what I want to really thank you, because I know you had a really tight week, and you, like I said, you like to do a lot of litigation, which means arguing in court, correct?
Correct.
Correct. You really fight for your clients. I know that for a fact. That's why I recommended you to a young lady who was having an issue with an ex-boyfriend. I'll always refer issues like that because I want somebody that can help these people out. And whether you're looking for a good doctor or a good lawyer, you have to try to get the best team on your side. So with that being said, let's go to our website real quickly, which is?
That is CohenFamilyLawyer.com. Let me pull it up on the screen. There we go.
There she is. So you could, all our listeners out there that have some unusual situations popping in their lives or life-changing situations, whether it be getting married or a divorce, you can reach out to Debbie here, Debbie Cohen. There she is. So your office is actually in Northbrook, and the phone number is 312-835-2996. Are you also on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn.
You're on LinkedIn. I love that. That's one of my favorite social media because that's professionals on there talking about certain issues that they're involved in. Another thing is, we all want to thank you for coming in on this sweetest day, days when you give candy and flowers to everybody and talking about this stuff, and you gave up your afternoon. So on behalf of everybody here at WRMN, the flowers,
Aww,
the candy, all for you.
You just made my day. Thank you. And you made my day for having me here with you guys, too.
Listen, you've gotten a lot of info out, and I want to thank you for this. And we just run out of time because it's only 2 24-minute segments. So I really want to thank you for coming out here and explaining these things, especially when it comes to child custody or prenuptials or divorce cases. I try to get as much info out there to the public as possible. But everybody here at we're happy for her, right?
Yes, absolutely.
At WRMN, the GM was happy you were here. Everybody's happy that you showed up. So as we're winding down, put her business card on the screen.
Wait, hang on a sec. Here we go.
And that's 1363 Shermer Road, Suite 228, Northbrook, Illinois, 312-835-2996. Debbie Cohen, divorce lawyer and family law. You cover all those issues.
Cover a bunch of those issues, yes.
A bunch of those issues. She's the girl to get to if you have an issue with family law problems. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the flowers and the candy. Everybody here is grateful for you coming. We got to do one more episode down the road.
Absolutely, and I cannot thank you enough for having me.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure.